I found out through the news in LA about what was going to be happening with the school system, and not long after that, maybe about a week after that, I decided it was most important for me to go back to the East Coast. I live in Los Angeles, and I decided it was best for me to go to the East Coast for this period of time and be closer to family, because there was so much that was unknown in relationship to the coronavirus and what was going to be happening with transportation and planes. Everything was just literally up in the air. So I found an extremely cheap ticket. I think my ticket was about $45 from Los Angeles to Baltimore, which is just one of those things that, you know, rarely happens. And it was amazing because as my friend took me to the airport, it was just completely like 2 or 3 cars. That like never happens at LAX. And additionally, you know, just everywhere you were, it was just not very many people. And even when the plane that I rode, there was only about less than 40 of us taking this flight to Baltimore. And you know, it was a very nerve-wracking thing because you know, just I had to ride with a friend, and I wore the mask and the gloves. It was the first time I think I was wearing the mask and the gloves, and the only gloves I had were some rubber dishwasher washing gloves. But I was like, I want no parts of my hands touching anything. And you know, I just played by the rules. I said I'll wear that mask, and then my sister unfortunately couldn't pick me up late at night because I think I arrived maybe about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I took an Uber, and I was paranoid about that, but the Uber driver, thank God, was very paranoid and safe in everything that he did. So you know, you're still braving it. You're like, gosh, I'm way too close to a person, and yet you know, everything, you know, turned out to be okay. And so I stayed with my sister in Maryland for a few weeks, and even that was risky. I mean, that's just like love, whether it's love of me or love of my parents. But she's like, you're not going to our parents who are over 70 years old and coming from a plane from California, and nobody's been tested, so I don't know what I have. And I was actually sick, which made it a little scary. I was sick, I'm assuming not from COVID, but more so I was sick just, I don't know, I think I was getting over a cold, and you're paranoid. Do I have a cold? Do I have the coronavirus? And the weeks went on, and finally I started getting better. And at Mother's Day, we broke down and said, okay, it's time to go visit. And you're still scared, but your parents really want to see you. And, you know, there's just so many frightening, you know, stories out there where people contracted, and the day they go in that hospital could be the very last day that you physically are in a close distance with someone that you love. And it just really is sobering about life in general.
When COVID became a pandemic, we got briefing on the COVID and what to expect. And we were provided with PPE. Sometimes especially the mask, the N95 was a problem. in that we had to wear it more than 4 days or 5 days because there was never enough of the duck masks to go around. But the other part of the PPE was fine, the hats and the shoes, covering and stuff. Um, it 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 was not easy. We found that we had a lot of we had patients coming in critically ill, difficult breathing, unable to sustain their oxygen level, and so they were essentially dying, trying to save them, but it was hard. We had like codes after codes after codes everywhere in the hospital.
Exit and with
So
your family.
we have a lot of layers when we go into a patient room. So I mean, you ensure that you're protected. When
Uh-huh.
you come home, then you have to start dropping things at the door. My husband and my kids, they would open the door for me, so I don't have to touch anything. And if I did, then they will have to clean it off,
Okay.
wipe off the door handles, wipe off my key. I'd have to wipe off my phone. I'll be dropping everything at the front. Then I go to the bathroom. I still have on my mask and everything, so that even though I'm talking, I'll tell my children to stay in their room, and I go take a shower, and then I just isolate myself in my room, and that's what I'm doing for a while.
Okay, well, the couple has been an alright experience. Went to New York, the coronavirus, and we didn't know how to deal with that at first because we was more scared of the virus. Are we gonna get it? But it turned out all right. We kept the ship clean and did everything that we were supposed to do. Wore our mask and it came out all right. But just seeing New York on the conference, it looked like Gotham City. It was always raining and dark. And just it looked like death. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It just looked like it was death out there. And so now being on the conference, it was an experience, a good experience. Then it's turning into a bad experience.
You've had a couple of tests. You've checked for. They've tested you for the coronavirus. You've been okay twice, right?
Yeah, I tested twice. Good for the coronavirus. All of us was good. We had now on the ship when we was in New York, we had like 5 people that had the coronavirus. They had one mate got real sick, but she went home. The other crew members still stayed on the ship. They just quarantined, and they was all right after 2 weeks.
So how was it? So I guess my last question is, how was the feeling among you all? Were you all scared at all times, or, I mean, what was the general feeling with you and the other crew? How did you all feel when all of this was happening?
We didn't understand it because MSC don't understand it because we still was around certain people that came in contact with the coronavirus. We was around this person. They was in the on the mess deck with us. So all of us was exposed to it, but lucky we didn't get it. But we still didn't understand it. Then we slept in close quarters So we won't social distance. We wasn't doing any of that. We wasn't. So
how did you all feel when you got the word that the patients were going to be coming on the boat? Because that wasn't the plan before. So how did you all feel when that happened?
Yeah, the plan was we just going to treat regular patients, then it turned into the coronavirus. And the reason why for that is they won't see in that many patients. So it was political. They had, because no regular patients was coming up here, then it went to, we'll see the coronavirus people. And we only saw 180 some people, I think, for the whole month. That was it.
Okay.
So that's a low number.
Okay.